the darkest moments of human history, when nations trembled and the world seemed seconds away from collapse, one man, confined to a wheelchair, battling his own body, took on the greatest crises of the modern age. Before we begin this extraordinary journey into courage, power, secrets, and survival, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and press the bell icon, because what you're about to hear will change the way you see leadership forever. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, born January 30th, 1882, in Hyde Park, New York, entered the world not as a warrior or a revolutionary, but as the privileged son of a wealthy family. Quiet, observant, and gentle in manner, young Franklin grew up under the shadow of his distant but dignified father and the dominating presence of his mother, Delano Roosevelt. She shaped his early life with rigid discipline and unwavering expectations. Inside this controlled environment, Roosevelt developed a calm exterior, yet beneath it grew a powerful desire to prove himself to be more than the quiet boy everyone believed him to be. Inspired by his fifth cousin, President Theodore Roosevelt, young Franklin absorbed the idea that leadership was not a privilege, but a destiny. He attended Groton School, Harvard University, and Columbia Law School, though he found law uninspiring. His charm, however, was undeniable. He married Eleanor Roosevelt, his distant cousin, in 1905, a partnership that would define and challenge him in ways he never imagined. Eleanor, brilliant and emotionally perceptive, helped Franklin grow beyond the expectations of his elite upbringing. Their relationship was not perfect. FDR's infidelity wounded Eleanor deeply, yet she transformed the pain into purpose, becoming one of the most influential political figures of the 20th century. FDR entered politics as a New York State senator, later becoming Assistant Secretary of the Navy. His charisma and optimism helped him rise quickly, but destiny intervened. In the summer of 1921, at the age of 39, Roosevelt was struck by polio, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. The man who once sailed boats and climbed mountains could no longer stand. For months, he lay in bed, fighting despair. Many assumed his political career was finished. Yet inside him, a fire stronger than ambition ignited, an iron determination to retain, not weaker, but transformed. Roosevelt spent years in rehabilitation, teaching his body to adapt and his mind to conquer fear. He learned to walk short distances with braces, though never again unassisted. More importantly, he mastered the emotional psychology of leadership, projecting confidence even in private agony. By 1928, he re-entered public life, running for governor of New York. His victory shocked the political world. Roosevelt wasn't simply back. He was stronger than before, tempered like steel and fire. In 1932, during the depths of the Great Depression, Roosevelt was elected President of the United States. Banks were collapsing, unemployment soared to 25%, families lived in tents and shanty towns, and Americans were losing hope. Yet Roosevelt stepped forward with a message no one had heard in years: the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. These were not just words, they were medicine for a wounded nation. His New Deal programs reshaped America: Social Security, unemployment insurance, banking reforms, the Civilian Conservation Corps, public works, and protections for workers. For the first time, millions felt the government was fighting for them, not above them. Roosevelt became the voice of reassurance, speaking through his famous fireside chats, where he addressed Americans as if sitting beside them in their living rooms. He restored trust, slowly, steadily, brilliantly. But as America began to heal, a new storm spread across the world. Adolf Hitler's rise in Germany, Italy's fascism, and Japan's imperial expansion threatened global stability. Roosevelt, unlike many leaders of the time, recognized early that isolation would not save America. He strengthened the military, supported Britain and China, and built alliances that would later define victory. But publicly, he walked a tightrope, pushing the nation toward preparedness while respecting a public deeply afraid of war. On December 7, 1941, everything changed. Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Roosevelt addressed Congress with a speech that seared into history, a date which will live in infamy. Overnight, the U.S. entered World War II. Roosevelt became not just a national leader, but the central strategist of a global coalition. Working closely with Winston Churchill and Joseph Stalin, he shaped military strategy, supported the D-Day invasion, coordinated supply chains, and oversaw the most ambitious wartime production in history. Under his leadership, American factories became the arsenal of democracy. Women and minorities entered the workforce in unprecedented numbers. The United States transformed from a struggling nation into the world's greatest superpower. Yet beneath the surface, Roosevelt was failing. Decades of stress, hidden disability, and relentless responsibility were taking their toll. His health deteriorated visibly, but he concealed it from the public. Even in his final months, he pushed forward, envisioning the United Nations as a force for global peace. He believed the world needed a place where nations could resolve conflicts without war. On April 12, 1945, in Warm Springs, Georgia, a place where he sought relief for his paralysis, Franklin D. Roosevelt suffered a massive stroke. His final words were simple: "I have a terrific headache." He died within minutes. America mourned deeply. Soldiers cried openly. Families who had listened to him for years felt they had lost a friend, the voice that had carried them through depression and war. Franklin D. Roosevelt redefined leadership. He led America through its two greatest crises, the Great Depression and World War II. He served longer than any president in history. He proved that physical limitations could not stop greatness, that optimism could rebuild nations, and that courage could reshape the world. His legacy still echoes in every social program, every election, every American institution designed to protect the vulnerable and preserve democracy. FDR lived in pain, ruled in crisis, and died in service. And yet, through it all, he never lost the one belief that changed the world: that hope, quiet, steady, unbreakable, can defeat the darkest storms in history.